Hello everyone and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Last time out we did the second day of investigations where we found out why this guy was murdered potentially in two places at the same time. We don't know. Well, we don't know fully. Prosecution definitely doesn't know. No one really knows. Let's find out what happens. Just tell me if it's a bit loud or anything and I'll sort it out. So, Mr. Wright, what do you think? I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. After all, the victim was murdered in two different places at the same time. And a different suspect was arrested at the other crime scene. Lana! Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was, indisposed. Hope they didn't hold you for too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So, how did it go? It's as Mr. Wright suspects. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. A plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind this simultaneous murder, they wouldn't seek capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. But Lana, don't tell me you... Much to my regret. I'm in as much in the dark about this as they are. Miss Sky. We discovered traces left by a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belonged to Officer Jake Marshall. You found Officer Marshall's traces? Bloodstained fingerprints, to be exact. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're gonna accuse Mr. Marshall? You have to play the cards we're dealt. And isn't that right, Miss Sky? Do what you have to, Mr. Wright. Ugh. Out of the frying pan into the fryer. Into the fire, sorry. My throat at the end of this is going to be very hoarse. Court is in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is, I'm afraid we'll have to clarify. It takes about 30 minutes by car to reach criminal affairs from the prosecutor's office. The victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. Well, that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I heard the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yeah, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this one messed up trial. I'm just gonna shorten this in my headphones if you don't mind. They're too loud in mine. Again? One of my duties as prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. In doing so, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. And that's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things, even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. And that's supposed to be an admirable trait? An admirable trait? Very well. Let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police station. Or the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Ooh boy. Things are getting wilder from the get-go. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir. I am Officer Mike Meekins, sir. My occupation is, that will be murderer, sir. So you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir, it was me, sir. I'm the one who did it. I'll never kill anyone again, sir. You gotta believe me, sir.
Actually,
Sir, I'm what you would call, part of the younger generation, sir. Person whose actions adults can't possibly comprehend.
please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Help him, sir.
Officer Meekins. Yes, sir. Give us your report of the crime. Consider that an order. Yes, sir. As you wish. It's part of after all, I am part of a generation that must be told what to do, sir. Can't fault him for a lack of enthusiasm. Okay, and let's crack this guy open. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man at on the security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life, and then I did it. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake.
So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you.
Do unto others before they do unto you. That's the Meekins family motto, sir.
I see. And you fainted and a colleague helped you regain consciousness.
Yes, sir. He knocked me up the upside of the head, sir.
Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination.
What I need here is more info to work with. So let's press the hell out of him. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir. Sorry, I just got a cough for one moment. Okay. Yes, sir. I'm in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Yikes. Now there's a scary thought. Evidence transfer was taking place on the day of the crime, which meant many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir.
The Blue Badger?
Yes, sir. The lovely police mascot created by the head detective, sir. I was to ensure it wasn't broken after the transferal process. That was my sole mission for the day, sir.
See. Sounds like a very, important mission.
After the award ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around. And I relocated the Blue Badge to the evidence room.
Oh, so that's why you went to the evidence room.
Tell us, what did you see when you got there? Oh, I got a cough again. Sorry. Okay, back. There we go. In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir. I have one right here around my neck. So then, your ID number should be listed in here, right? It's either 777 or the other one. There it is. I found it. That's the right one here.
Would you please read us that number?
Yes, sir. It's 489899596. That's my number, sir. I see, huh? But the number 4989596 is shown as being used twice. Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. First time is when I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. And then the second time was when I went to go in after everything, to go get him after everything had settled down.
I see. So it was during that second time when...
Yes, sir. That was when I spotted the man on the security screen. Kane? So you're attacked? Can you please tell us exactly what happened to you? There was a knife, sir. A knife.
Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then?
Well, with me charging in on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You aren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms out like an octopus struggling to detain him. That's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you just kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be... When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I, panicked. I grabbed the man by his collar. What exactly do you mean when you say you did it? I don't know. Don't look the type, but really, I'm really into kung fu films, sir. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched the knife from him. You took his knife. I spun him around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. See, he must have been desperate. And the next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in a sea of my blood. And then the next thing I knew...
Yes?
You punched me right in the face, sir. About what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was, unconscious. Oh, right. According to the report from the officer that woke him up, it was about 5:30. He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying tears of pain.
That's nice. I mean, it's nice to see that you recovered, that is.
When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? Yes, sir, the Blue Badger, sir. Returned to the entrance before things got out of hand. Well, we can all rest easy now.
I believe we have a fairly accurate picture of what happened.
Yes, Your Honor. Only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim? He's got a point.
Yes, Officer Meekins.
With regards to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent to my cell. Chief Gant delivered it to me this morning, sir. The chief? Delivered it?
What is that? Videotape?
Yes, sir, that's absolutely right, sir. Videotape, sir. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room. What? I specifically asked if there was any such a tape, and was told to have it, and was told it had been mistakenly erased.
That's quite a mistake.
I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at. Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever.
Well then, let's have a look. Show us the video of you murdering the victim.
Oh, please stop using that word murder, sir. It scares me. Videotape of the real murder. Just what are we getting ourselves into? Beautiful. I love seeing the face of the devil. Well, there's the guy in the white coat. He opens that up. Something falls out. There's Officer Meekins. Behold the power of the DS, by the way. Would have got this on the Game Boy. Oh, damn. You did cut him.
Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with this unsettling feeling? How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us?
What the hell was that wriggling piece of plywood? Sir, that was the pride and joy of the entire criminal affairs department, sir. It's the Blue Badger, sir. Why am I not surprised that this is gonna go? This isn't going smoothly? Okay, we got that.
Yes, well, anyway. This tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter someone in the evidence room, and some sort of activity.
Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly incomplete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Is that alright with you, Officer Meatkins?
Yes, sir, as you wish, sir.
His face can be clearly seen in the video. But, there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker, which required Detective Goodman's fingerprint to do so. The locker he opened is, unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So he must be him. No one else could have unlocked it.
What's this about a fingerprint?
Each detective has been given a locker, equipped with a fingerprint-activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can be opened by the detective it belongs to.
Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have to have been Detective Goodman. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination.
I don't know where this cross-examination will lead. Everything begins with contradictions. That's where I have to start. Tell me, were you able to get a good look at him? At the face of the man who attacked you with the knife?
Sir?
If you must label people as having seen or not seen the man's face, I believe I would have to be classified as the latter. The latter? But you were standing right in front of him, were you not?
More to the point, you are the person who fought him, aren't you?
Yes, sir, but I didn't get a clear look at his face, sir. I'm not the kind of guy who looks directly at people when talking with them, you see. Yeah, that's a good trait for a police officer. Sir, still I'm sure it was him. I bet my badge on it. But you don't know that for sure, do you? You never actually saw Detective Goodman's face. Well, I suppose you might say that. That is, you must label people being seen or not seen.
Since his face can't be identified in the video, only you can verify it.
But, well, why is everyone looking at me? I had a label on your stare. That label stirs as disturbing or, Meekins. Huh? Having been shown a questionable video at best, we are not in the best of moods. Now please be more certain when you testify. Yes, sir. You claim that the man brandished a knife on you was Bruce Goodman. Tell us why you are positive it was him. Okay, keep going. About these lockers. Is there no other way to open them? No, sir. I myself have tried all kinds of methods in the past. They only respond to registered fingerprints, sir. Wonder what kind of methods he's tried.
If the man opened the locker's lock. What's he on, sorry? If the man opened the locker's lock, which only responds to the registered fingerprint, then he must be the person the locker was assigned to.
That's exactly my point, sir, and this too. How do you know how'd you know that information?
I've heard rumors, sir, from the people in the know, sir.
People in the know? The workers in the department cafeteria, sir. They keep me informed. They also listen to my romantic troubles, sir. For the record, the opened locker did indeed belong to Detective Goodman. I verified this information from a more reliable source.
So the victim opened the locker with his own fingerprint.
Keep going, come on. However, the most important detail is not shown in this video, the man's face. But, sir, if I may say something, sir?
Please do, after all, you are the one being examined.
I don't understand why the man's face is so important to the case, sir. I mean, it was his hand that opened the fingerprint lock. And it was his hand that only tried to thrust his knife into my body, sir. And my unsettled state can testify enough to this, sir.
Yes, you have a point. The footage doesn't lie.
That is, unless the defense can find a problem with it. Mr. Wright, let's check the court record again. Is there a problem with security video? From what I saw of the video, because it's obviously going to be something wrong with the video. Is there something here that we can see? Okay, I think I see it. Just, everyone, wait for everyone, we'll do a good old... I think there's a problem with this, Your Honor. Regarding the video contained on this tape, there is one thing in particular that seems rather strange.
Strange?
This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not be Detective Goodman.
What? This video contains such a contradiction.
Interesting. Your Honor, may I have a proposal?
Yes, Mr. Edgeworth.
I propose that we have the defense point out to us the alleged contradiction in the video. He would want me to point it out, wouldn't he?
Very well, proposal accepted. Let us further inspect the piece of evidence. I will now play the security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us of this contradiction you speak of.
I have to point out a problem in the video? This is the first time I've ever had to do that. You can do it, Mr. Wright. It's set up so you can fast forward, rewind, and pause the video. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing. Please don't play it too many times. I can't stand watching this video, sir. How did this guy ever become a police officer?
Now then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. Where is the contradiction that indicates the man may not be Bruce Goodman?
And I think it is in this frame here. And I think it is this here. This light on. Just the light's on. Hang on, I got a cough again. I've ruined the epic moment, but I'm sorry. Oh, I hate being sick. It's awful. Oh, sorry, I apologize. The thing that's strange about the video has got to be this. Officer Meekins? Sir? What do you mean? Do you mean me, sir? As I understand, the locker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, a sensor reads your fingerprint, and if the print matches registered data, if the print matches registered data, the light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I'd understand it, sir. If so, then something here is seriously wrong with this picture. When the victim reaches for the handle to open the locker, let's rewind to a little earlier. Here, notice the light? What's the...
What's this? It's, already lit.
Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Oh yeah, I don't even have to do that. He's doing the voices for me. Well done, Meekins. Doing one thing right for me, at least.
Order, order. What's the meaning of this?
It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by our electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered. And the locker is automatically... Sorry? And the locker is automatically locked.
Oh, I know. It must have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this.
That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction.
Oh well, it must go to show novices should keep their mouths shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation?
I think I do, Your Honor.
Yes, why wasn't the locker locked?
Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss, Scientific Investigator? Huh? Oh, maybe something like jam the electronic system? Something jammed the sensor? Say, there's something else that seemed out of place in that video. Yeah, I thought so too. There's gotta be another clue somewhere in this footage.
Very well, let's inspect the video once more. The locker wasn't locked. Mr. Wright, please point out the cause for this.
Again, it's not here. I think I know what it is. Because we see it fall out. That's my plan anyway. Okay. I have to hold it. Right, okay. Oh, damn, we're going by frames. Okay, this thing, I'm a bobber. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier.
What's this? Something white fell out of the locker.
But sir, that's been my experience that things fall out when doors are opened. I often fall out and roll great distances when I open my car door, sir. You can't be sure that item was in the locker to begin with.
What do you mean?
The sensor triggered the lock when the door is shut. What if someone inserted, say, between the sensor and the door?
Inserted?
This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was struck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir. It's just like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. Instead of the door closing, my tie chokes me.
But that the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door.
Not only that, it would have to also block electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator.
Yes, an insulator. But at the crime scene,
There just might have been something that fits the description. But, sir, by insulator, you don't mean... I think I finally got this figured out.
very well. Will the defense please present the relevant evidence? What was this insulator that struck the lock inside the locker door?
It's gotta be something here. The thing that makes the most sense is it's a rubber glove, because it's an insulator. Your rubber blocks electricity, and it's thin enough just so it just enough so it can probably fit through. Hang on, got a cough. Sorry about that. I found this rubber glove near the locker. A thin rubber glove.
We can't be sure that this was in the victim's locker.
It has a tag that says SL9 incident on it. You dingus. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. But this isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins? Sir, it would appear so, sir.
Order. So, are we to believe then that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman?
Not be misled, Your Honor.
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
Defense has merely demonstrated that possibility and nothing more. The victim in this video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir? Me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Yeah, sure. Is this a joke?
Very well, begin your testimony.
There's one other thing that proves that the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. Well, strictly speaking, you only have to have that card.
An ID card record, I see.
I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. The ID used at 514. It is that of the victim.
Just before the crime, Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transfer. Why are there so few names using this room?
This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. There were only up to a few cases for transferal there, and most were cleaned up by noon.
Right, I see. Now, let us move on to the cross-examination.
So unlike your earlier testimony, you believe that this to be rock solid, do you? Yes, sir. Solid as stone, sir. If my hand wasn't wrapped in bandages, I'd even give the V for victory sign, sir. As a fellow Brit, I understand doing the V for victory sign. Couldn't he just use his right hand for that?
Let's hear him out. The witness can't afford to make any more mistakes.
Is that card hanging from your neck one of those ID cards? Yes, sir. This card might, right next to my cuff, sir. I keep it here so I won't ever forget it. But what if someone were to steal it from you, keeping it out in the open like that? Maybe I shouldn't wear it around my neck. Remember when I said 2 out of 3 times the tie gets stuck in the car door when I, get out? Well, the remaining time my ID card gets stuck. Instead of the door closing, my ID card chokes me. Maybe I should just leave this one alone. At any rate, each police officer has one ID card. Both of the police department and the prosecutor's office can attest to this.
Please proceed with your testimony.
Let it be noted that this this is the record to the witness referred to?
Let me see. Yes, that would be it. Detective Goodman.
What's the matter?
According to this, Mr. Edgeworth, your name is on here.
So it is, Your Honor.
Not that prosecutor again. Maybe he's behind it all. Being a prosecutor, he could hide evidence. Mommy, is that man in blue a murderer? Shh, don't stare at him.
You got the wrong color, kid.
It would seem the inquiry committee will want to speak with you again today.
I have nothing to be ashamed of regarding my actions, or their consequences. For now, let us continue with the cross-examination.
Poor Mr. Edgeworth. It must be so difficult for him.
Earlier, I believe you said that you testified that when you asked the man to show his ID card, he pulled a knife on you. Yes, sir. He didn't show me his ID card, sir. Don't you think that's odd? I mean, if he had his ID card, all he had to do was show it to you. There wouldn't be any reason to draw a knife. Maybe he just panicked? Everything stems from contradictions. Let's point them out.
Mr. Wright, what do you think?
I'm confused.
What?
The problem with this ID card testimony so far is obvious. It's not like Edgeworth to miss something like this.
Thinking too hard about it. Come on, let's show him what we've got.
The other thing that proves Detective Goodman's ID card. The other thing proves that the man was Detective Goodman's must use their ID card. I'm a bit stumped, to be honest. Is it this? No, it's not. Yeah, okay, contradiction. Same, just not related. They aren't, are they? Please don't go the facts before making accusations. Knowing that will many points with the judge. Found at the prosecutor's office's crime scene. Okay, and second time round, I'll take it. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. Well, you'll have to. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene.
That makes sense.
When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. Oh yeah, I could have done that. I'm just dumb.
The lost item report, it's only half completed.
But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. I believe this something to be his ID card, correct? Can't say for sure, but it's a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card.
Order. So, now what does all this mean?
It only mean one thing. It doesn't require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather a man who stole his ID card.
Order, order, order. Does this prosecution have a response?
I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo. Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 on the day of the crime, the man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at the single conclusion. This victim is in the video is a fake. Then the murderer in the evidence room is also a fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. Yep, that is, well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed to be content to be pointing your finger out. This isn't good. Well, well, it seems you've finally realized what exactly you've gone to such lengths to prove.
Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth.
The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime.
So
the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. The murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning.
the activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did the person disappear to? However, the trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman.
Just so, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright, you have to do something or else Lana.
What do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? Object! Finger, point, now. One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. I'm a genius. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. However, it cannot be said that this is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter.
Mr. Edgeworth,
Yes, Your Honor?
if this court were to examine the case further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand.
Mr. Wright, do you mean...
Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness.
Oh, whom would you have in mind?
Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The Prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply.
Very well, then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testify, what is his or her name?
Good old Jakey boy. Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let him know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. Prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare.
Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time?
We will, Your Honor.
Court is in recess.
Ooh, okay, we got off the first bit there. Again, land doesn't look happy with us. What have we done now? There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Oh, sorry. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you've figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lana? You're the one who knows everything. Emma? You always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me?
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later.
Oh, Detective Gumshoe, what is it?
You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it all off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals.
Sorry, Detective.
You better be, pal. Hey. 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 I didn't see you there, Miss Sky.
That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked?
Oh. You mean this, right?
My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name?
Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I need them by noon. Talk about crazy.
The SL9 incident? But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them.
Can't believe you and the chief prosecutor were a witness in this case. Can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case.
His Sky was a witness? Seed case files, cool.
Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with a serial murderers. Serial murders. Oh, what? Now that I've brought you all your stuff, you're gonna ignore me? Listen, pal.
Emma, but why? Why is your name here? What? My name's in there? I don't know. Unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana? This SL9 incident, is that? That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark? No, Lana. That's over with. No. Emma, wait. She ran away.
You know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here.
Officer Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gann, and Miles Edgeworth. Let's have a look at them ourselves before we get onto it. Files for the Dark killing solved 2 years ago. Kane, Joe Dark, crime, serial murder, sentenced death. Victims, Jones, Knight, Kirby, Moss, Bates, Neil Marshall. Wonder if he's a relation to him. Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth. Witnesses Lana Sky and Emma. Executive investigators Gant and Lana. Head investigator Bruce Goodman, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. Okay. Sorry, we'll just get back onto it. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you, you might just be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I better take a good look at this file. One moment. Oh, I can get save. Right, okay. We'll save, and then I'm just gonna pause for a moment to It's not good having a cough and a runny nose. I've not got the Rona, by the way. It's just a standard cold. I'll just mute myself for a moment. Right. Round 2. Ding ding.
The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky.
Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. We're gonna get... Me, partner? I'm just a wandering man, same as you. Wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly across intersections when needed.
Oh, I know. You're a patrolman.
As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear it howling. He can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct?
According to the papers, partner. What do you mean?
A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up.
Maybe it's best we quickly get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony on the day of the crime. In English.
Day of the crime. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail.
I can't say I particularly care for your attitude.
I can't say I care for your beard, but you know you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yeah, well, about the fingerprint activated locks inside the room. Fingerprint activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses. Now don't they, Mr. Prosecutor?
This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, it'll be all yours.
How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security area, Start again, why don't I? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still. Even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them? Them, not then. The videos and nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I'd erase a tape, it felt like I was erasing part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic. It isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? And you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know join the police force.
So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime,
Just between you and me, I didn't set foot in that evidence room that day.
there was a rubber glove stuck to the victim's locker. You know anything about that?
Sorry, partner. Can't say that I do. Haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? You used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct?
Of course, back in my day, the locker was a gold mine of evidence.
And yet you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism?
Sorry, partner. I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works.
That's, quite incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too.
At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place?
What were you doing in a place like that?
I was eating spaghetti.
Not even Angel's steak lunches can beat that parlor's. Is it Vongole? It's either Vongole or Vongole. I'm gonna butcher this because I don't know any Italian. Well, I know a little bit. Not much though.
Vongole sepia pasta. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat noodles?
Not all desperados eat tacos, partner.
That's not what I meant. Hope this has at least taught you a lesson.
That's strange. This is usually the part where Edgeworth says, Did you not want to raise this year? Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner. Or as you call it, evidence. You plan to pin me to this crime, you better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting for me to carry me back west into the sunset.
One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything.
Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everybody knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card on my sleeve, so I best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I better up the ante. Ted, validate my style. Besides the print room, take place in 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at the street side saloon when it went down. His name's not here, is it? No. Supposed to make 3 rounds a day, but that ain't my style. Do I go for it right away then? Go with this one? No, it's not. Witness statement is clearly follow, Your Honor. Phoenix, you dumb. Stupid. Slap, slap. Do better. Each locker is unlocked by a fingerprint. A light indicates the boxes. It was supposed to be keep me rounds by my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remembered right, I was at the street side when it went down. So if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Okay, I just got the wrong statement. I'm sure that was the evidence, I just need to look at it. Officer Marshall, doesn't this strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this. After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the crime scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects. That is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood.
Goodness, what's the meaning of this? Your bloodstained fingerprints were at the crime scene?
The blood was wiped away. However, the luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? Seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained fingerprints.
Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints. Found at the scene of the crime.
Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was there by chance. The blood stain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or did you know the murderer was wearing Didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it.
The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt.
Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner.
The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
This guy's hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Okay, and let's break this guy. That's because you, how do you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. And one more thing. That locker happened to be mine.
What? How do you mean?
I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now are a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprints data were never changed. He must have been using the fingerprint lock without even knowing it. Okay, just keep pressing, we'll find something. So then, about this bloody finger handprint. Wasn't mine, it's no mystery.
Please explain.
My locker's covered with my fingerprints. Just so happened. Chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue it's just the opposite. Chances of not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? Unrelated? They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast, and the other's a type of murder.
He's right, although seemingly alike, they're totally different.
I don't see what homonyms have to do with any of this. How do you know about that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a blood stain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too.
So that would mean a murderer wearing gloves happened to place his hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint.
Yeah, it's the only logical conclusion. Oh, you're starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood, it's the desert. It's in this seal of blood in the desert. It's just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. Security tape. As long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise.
This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall.
What do you mean by that? You want me to tie me to this crime in that right, partner? If so, that video was the only direct evidence you have. That video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spot?
Blind spots?
Places you can't see. The camera panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, he could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright.
Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us the evidence in this video that indicates the Officer Marshall was present, please do so now.
I'll have a go. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one who making the mistake.
Now then, let's look at this video. Show us the incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall.
Where's Meekins? Just checking if there's anything here. Hmm. There when he grabs the handle. Maybe? There. How's that for evidence? Nope. Please allow me to apologize for my colleague, Your Honor. He gets carried away sometimes. God damn it.
Yes, well, it certainly isn't a first.
Will you forgive him too, Officer Marshall? He's not a bad man, just a bit disillusioned. Of course, I'm not willing to gun down on unarmed boys. Oh, great, Edgeworth's now defending me. Guess that means I missed the mark.
Very well, let's get back to the cross-examination.
There has to be something in this video. There has to be something. Okay, so he's opening that. I thought it might be his fingerprints on the locker or something. Yeah, alright Phoenix, how you doing? I agree, I hate this case too, but I'm not screwed up yet, and I refuse to screw up. If this takes me all night, I will get to this. Okay, and so he slashes Meekins. Okay. Oh, okay. I found it. Okay, and I found it. I think I know what it is. It's, Okay. You know, ladies and gentlemen, place your bets, if you would. On what it is. Obviously, I might have given it away with my exclamation, but, you know. Probably. I might guess wrong, but this is definitely a coincidence. Like, yeah, shows this incriminating evidence to the witness, Jake Marshall. I mean, there's that there. It probably is wrong now I'm thinking about it. Technically. Shows incriminating and the witness, Jake Marshall. I have to prove it is him. I guess we could try that. Probably wrong. Bringing our attention back to the security camera. Is a mistake I'm afraid you'll not soon forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up with what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. Down to 6. Oh, never mind, he allowed me 8. Kevin, you can be clearly seen in the video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locked locker shown in this video.
See this locker? There is a white cloth sticking out. This is the witness's locker.
Now then, let's rewind the video a little bit.
Oh, the white cloth, it's, gone. What is the meaning of this, Officer Marshall?
When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Yeah, see? Big brain me, got it right. You bet wrong. Yeah, see? You thought I was a moron, and I am a moron. Just not in this case. Then, it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in that evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away.
Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man.
So what if my locker was open? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. Murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say open the locker, now prove it. Taking this. A fingerprint sensor. We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. I love those phase transitions. Like, oh, they look. No, to me they look stupid, but I like them.
In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There's even some people in the force that don't even know about the fingerprint locks.
So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? Only got one word for you, partner. No.
Order. Witness, explain yourself.
This is a joke. It's the worst I've ever heard. I'll do the voice, because, you know, you gotta get into character. But I ain't screaming at the top of my lungs when he says no. Because I don't want other people in the house coming and being like, oh, what happened? Did you stub your toe or something? It is what it is.
This is a joke. It's the worst I've ever heard.
I assure you, it's no joke, Officer Marshall. And I've just come doing Fire Emblem, do voices in that as well. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime.
Ole, please answer the question.
Don't know why I said ole. What is he now, a bullfighter? It's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here.
We can?
Have a look at these floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall.
If that's so, then where was the witness?
It seems like Wright has the answer. Yeah, went into the Marshall voice for some reason. That's right. The only possible conclusion.
Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime?
He was this dude. Wait a minute. If the killer's Meekins, because that basically, is he meant to be the victim? And I'm just fake. Officer Marshall was standing right here.
But that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was.
Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in this video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out that though Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman, he also testified that the man's reaction was when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, sir, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife out on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it?
Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it.
The answer's simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, the Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card.
Oh, I get it.
If he showed it, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall?
You've got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it?
You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have a hard evidence proving not dressed up as the victim. I can't say, but I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition.
I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining.
Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence beyond proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim?
Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that.
I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat.
Ah, this can't be happening. So obvious he's the one. What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told to me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Nick, try thinking outside of the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise, but rather I should look for evidence that came out because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place?
What do you mean?
There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might have been discovered later, as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker.
According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason.
The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate he opened it in order to put a cloth inside.
So, what exactly is this piece of cloth?
Perhaps the video is the key to our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Okay, and I think I know what it's going to be.
Very well, let's take another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker.
Oh. Whew. Been streaming for 5 hours now, Jesus. I've done that before. I'm not used to doing it for so long. I'm stretching every hour. There's Meekins. Okay. Here, I'm taking. The blood. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room. I don't know what that reason was. Yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife out on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and that white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood.
A bloody white coat?
You couldn't just walk out like that. So you hid your coat in your locker. Not bad, huh, partner?
Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth?
Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now, wouldn't we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. All right. Seems the time has come. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like it. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out, and then managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15.
So the supposed victim was really you?
But there was one thing I still don't understand. Large quantities of blood traces were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? It'd be Meekins' blood. Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It looked like too much blood for that. Okay, Marshall's confession. He's not giving up. We still have to break him. When you say it, you mean... You even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. What did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only the detective who was in charge of it can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why I... Let's keep going. We'll find it. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera.
And the detective's ID card?
I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Detective Goodman started filing out that lost item report. I returned his ID card, left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Marshall. Huh. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Normally that locker shouldn't have opened. So it seems... So it opened because a rubber glove was stuck there by chance? Then Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time.
Officer Meekins is certainly a one in a million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID.
I have to think a little more about his raise this year. Well, we see him again in another game, to be honest. But at that point, I don't think he's working at the police station. Why did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. Sorry it had to turn out that way. For me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife?
Oh, you mean this one?
I don't know what to say.
So, what happened next?
So you did your research beforehand?
Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all that had gone planned, no footage would have been left.
However, you bloodied out your coat in the struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time?
What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is on that day...
But the blood found in the scene certainly indicates the crime took place.
What are you, blind? The victim showed on that tape is me and I'm not dead yet, partner.
So you stole the evidence from the locker?
Actually, no I didn't.
Why not?
When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone.
What?
What? Mr. Edgeworth? Where's the evidence?
It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty? Someone else stole the evidence? Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing?
Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether to or not to answer.
No. Just the way it phrases words, I don't speak very well. I guess. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't be just forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution.
Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more.
But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it?
That's the reason this evidence was stored in the evidence room.
Joe Dark was convicted of those crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence.
I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it?
I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about.
What happened?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think is the real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up sooner here or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I better take another look at the files. Okay, and I'm taking. We just show him this. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. Name Marshall is mentioned in here. And a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you heard the name. 2 years ago, he received the same lousy prosecutor award you got.
What? A prosecutor?
You must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands.
But what is his relation to you?
My guest brother going off the lock. There we go. Bingo, got it in one. He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gann, chief detective at the time. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. Being the group of detectives I was a part, I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know. Am I just not thinking straight, or does that not make grammatical sense? Because I could be blind right now. I'm just not thinking. Might be tired. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. There needs to be. I don't know. It makes sense. It's just the. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was saying it in his voice. It just didn't feel right. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Never mind me. I'm just a moron. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was... Alright, I have never seen that word before. He was arraigned and incarcerated. I have no idea what that word says. The case was finally closed. Arraigned, we'll see. At least, according to the public records.
What do you mean?
My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beat him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me.
Well, there's one thing for certain. And we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime.
That was the last day of the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery is finally cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's gotta be more than just that.
So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one.
Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. But wait. A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All the mysteries at the police department could have been uncovered. No contradictions remain. The murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye. There were no errors in the testimony of the witness Angel Starr. If you have a response, make it one word or less. I rest my case.
It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for any more doubt.
Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty.
Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant.
Thinking it's Emma, my guess. There we go.
Your Honor? Wait.
Emma?
Defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right?
What do you mean, right?
Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian?
Your Honor, in a sense?
Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking for a minute is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please?
I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you free.
I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings.
Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky sisters were in that file.
But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint.
Damn it.
So I knew his fingerprints had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing, the other handprint.
You mean the traces of blood on Detective Gumshoe's locker?
But no fingerprints were found on it, right?
No, but I figured out. But if I examined it scientifically, I'd sure to find a clue. Got it out in the end. So I ran over there and looked at it again.
So what did you find something?
No.
Huh?
Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all.
Is that all?
Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student.
I'm just an attorney.
Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. We can't find something wrong with them. Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you.
Me? Oh boy.
Time's up then. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incidents at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain?
It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this?
Mr. Wright, I'm sorry if I can't be of any more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with this blood mark, Lana will be...
Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day.
Yes, Your Honor. If I ever needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? I object, because there has to be something. Otherwise the game ends and I end up looking like a doofus. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems to be clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright.
You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans, Mr. Wright. Tell me, is there a problem with them?
Yeah, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing.
Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there?
Yeah, something that when drawn will completely change the meaning of this blood mark.
Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright.
With all this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use.
The question is, which item can prove that something is missing in the floor plans?
I don't want to have to press this. I think it has to be pressed to be pressed. This thing has to be here.
What about that piece of plywood?
The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans for the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here.
So
watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well,
well, what?
Gah. That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it would have been impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker.
What?
Sorry, getting my voices mixed up.
So that means just... what exactly does that mean?
It means it can be done.
What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found at that locker.
Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma? On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would have been impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in.
Just one moment, I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom.
May sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time, someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. This is the theme as what I call Phoenix throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's ridiculous. I refute you. The murder portrayed in this security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you report really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves it occurred. When did the first incident occur?
To surmise, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was disguised as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room.
The blood mark on the locker proves this.
Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur? Proof must be presented.
Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that.
Well now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows that the first crime took place?
Is it that? Is it the ID card record? Or is it the, is it Goodman's... his autopsy report when he died, I guess. This is the proof. It's quite simple, you see. No, it's not. If it's so simple, then why don't you get it... then don't get it wrong. Huh? If huh is an acceptable excuse, we won't need police. First crime took place before the blue badger was brought to the room, right? Say, when was the blue badger brought here anyway? I know we don't have time for a chart. Don't we have a time chart among our evidence that lists the time? Is it that? And I'm just really fake? Proof that shows when the murder took place. Only one piece of evidence I can show for that. Okay. Oh, they do have times. Bingo. Piece of paper. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the perpetrator would have to enter the room. Got it out eventually. In order to do so, an ID card is also required.
An ID card? Oh, this ID card record.
Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50. If the crime took place before that time, then that would be 4:40. Aha!
Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done?
I never figured you'd had the nerve, boy. Put off with the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. No, I ain't getting it.
I'm afraid I don't understand either.
It's clear from the luminol testing fluid that was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim and carry his body away, and then clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible.
And that would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room.
Let's have a look at that chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 7 times 7. Yeah, 7 sevens. 49. Talk about a lucky number. It just... I don't know. It was 7 sevens. 7 times 7 is 49. I made a crap joke. I apologize.
But wait, that doesn't make any sense. How could Officer Goodman have entered the evidence room?
Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. Or taken his card, potentially. That's the only... He could have killed himself. Ooh. No, but yeah, Phoenix is right. The most likely one is that now. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in there with 7777.
Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number that's 7777777. That's 1 7 too many.
There's too many sevens going on. That's 127 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 7777777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. That's ridiculous. Just how... I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority.
If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted.
An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office works. Or operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate if you would keep your slander to yourself.
Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yes?
No, not to you, to her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive.
Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number, and it's not 7777777.
Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I wanted to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. Yes, little 9 incident?
Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? You need the witness to repeat the question, Chief Prosecutor. I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At least, well, at the time, occasionally we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana? I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones who were being suppressed by the law.
Defendant, what are you saying?
I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say what you did?
Chief Prosecutor, you didn't.
I don't have to, Officer Marshall.
Why don't you answer? Why don't you answer him?
Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence.
So she forged evidence, huh? See, this is what I was talking about. No. No!
Order, order, order!
Lana's remarks caused such a stir that chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Well, we got there. Took us 2 hours, but we got there. We'll do half an hour, I guess, of searching for stuff, and then we'll see what we get. We'll see what we go in 2.5 hours.
So sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. Never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings.
Sounds like everyone heard about these killings but me.
Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me.
What do you mean, what happened to you?
It's all there in the case file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence.
What did you have to do with those killings, Emma?
On the night of Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me.
What? He tried to kill you?
Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me.
So that means you...
Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial.
Didn't see that one coming.
It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was all alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together, and when she finished her work, suddenly this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. Oh, so Joe Dark? It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then,
What happened?
I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. When I saw then burned into a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now.
Permanent picture.
I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall.
So you weren't able to testify about that?
No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why she made up the crime.
Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence?
The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it.
Edgeworth?
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. Couldn't have known that he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened.
So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really wasn't involved in falsifying evidence.
After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold, like she is today.
She must have not been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. What did you see in that instant that the crime occurred?
Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife.
Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl.
I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently, I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms.
Poor Emma. You've been through so much.
I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago?
No, 2 years ago you must have been 14. That's understandable.
Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I was going to be a scientific investigator. And I wanted to be able to fight crimes with my testimonies. And find the evidence to make that airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any.
I see. I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma.
What is it?
You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right?
That's right.
Then why would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor.
No, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day.
Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police?
Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview, and then fled into my sister's office.
Then why did he run all the way over to your sister's office?
Because the detective's office and the questioning room are right across from the elevator.
Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she?
No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. He was the best in the entire force.
What? That's news to me.
After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor.
Lana used to be a detective. Huh. I better have another talk with her. Okay, just gotta present all my new evidence to her.
There's only one number left to check out.
That's right. We know the other numbers unrelated to the murder. 777777, an executive officer.
7.
I believe that's one too many sevens. I'm not. If I keep saying it, I'll lose my mind. We can't find out this number unless we have some incriminating evidence. That's going to be hard to dig up by tomorrow.
Mr. Edgeworth is so kind giving us something like this. Hey, you don't think he likes me, do you?
You okay, Emma?
Mr. Wright, hurry, run.
Achoo!
Here, I'll wipe those fingerprints off your face.
Might as well wipe my dignity away while you're at it, too. This screwdriver was found at Edgeworth's office, wasn't it?
Yeah, he said it didn't have anything to do with the crime.
And what are we doing carrying it around?
You don't ask me, I'm not making the decisions around here.
I recall, Edgeworth said Chief Gann asked him to take this to the prosecutor's office.
Mr. Goodman didn't have this on the day of the crime, right?
Right. A few days before he was murdered, he had filed a lost item report. Although the stolen item is more like it. Swiped by that lone wolf who dressed up like him.
Never would have thought Officer Marshall would be the type to do something like that. He didn't come as much of a surprise to me.
Here, see this?
Ah, I've noticed that the defense attorneys have a tendency to show people.
Yeah, we've been over this. And we just want to, touch base with all these pieces of evidence. That jar is pretty fragile.
Looks like it's about to break apart.
What do you mean about to? It's already broken.
I meant again.
This piece was found in Detective Goodman's evidence locker. That means...
Is this somehow related to the other incident?
This fingerprint was left on the locker Officer Marshall was stashing in his bloody coat.
I guess that blood wasn't Mr. Goodman's after all.
Nope, just that of an overly zealous patrolman.
So there wasn't a murder at the police department at 5:15 in the end.
I wonder what's going on. What's going to happen to Officer Marshall now?
We owe our entire success in court today to this tape.
At first, I thought it was a joke, but it turned out to be a goldmine of evidence.
I counted a total of 5 clues in it.
It also gave us the Blue Badger some publicity. But the negative sort, that is. And then last bit. It seems everything is somehow related to this incident.
What was it labeled again? The SL9 incident?
Yeah, the name of everyone connected to this trial is listed here. All that's left is to figure out what role everyone plays in this case. If we search hard enough, I think we'll find our answers. What exactly did or didn't Lana do?
I'm not sure I want to know everything.
Well, too bad, honey, because we're going to find out. Not today, mind you. We'll start today. Hang on, one moment. I have to, cough again. I can feel it coming. Whew. Sorry, I had to take a drink after that. That screwed up my throat a bit.
Lana? Mr. Wright. Seems I keep causing you trouble.
Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type.
Criminals don't mind playing foul, why should we? Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks.
Lana, Emma told me about you.
Oh?
About how you were detected 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was a reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office.
That's right.
Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs?
I suppose you have the right to know, Mr. Wright.
Don't need to examine anything, we've been here before. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not at least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one, 2 years ago.
Evidence from that case was stolen. I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul.
Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is at 5:15 there was no murder at the police department.
Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, what Miss Starr said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us?
Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before.
It's true. I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together.
Chief Gant?
Then, he was the vice head of criminal affairs, but he still worked the crime scenes.
Damon Gant,
he was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before reports even could be filed.
Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened?
I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you could later use that experience in court. Gant's help in the SL9 case was critical to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police, and I arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office.
Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago.
Two years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark.
Second in command? That means the chief detective was no doubt Damon Gant.
Yes, Damon Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations.
They even had the same office.
We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. This was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite a gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when the last murder took place.
When he tried to murder Emma.
Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me.
Now you tell us.
Detective Gant and Prosecutor Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages when Dark must have panicked. He waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down and then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Gant and myself. That's where he found me.
So you're the first person to run to the scene, Lana.
It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood.
3 bodies?
Prosecutor Marshall, victim, and Emma, who had passed out. The suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her. After all her sister must have been through. Well, all of what her sister must have been through. I'll gone through, as it says, but I was paraphrasing. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident. Just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to the extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall, yes. His actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's completely changed. I'm guessing he wasn't convinced by the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live on the rest of their lives with their memories. That case might not just be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gann and I shared. The office that Mr. Gann now occupies by himself. The chief's office. Maybe we should have a look in the chief's office, the site of the final SL9 murder. Let's just present you a ton of evidence. Attorneys and prosecutors have no business showing evidence outside court. It's taboo, especially when the interests of both parties are involved. She really means it. Lana. Are you gonna be doing this for everything? Seems like it. Yeah, she's not gonna give me anything. We need to go. Underground parking lot. Let's go to the prosecutor's office. Whew. Hit the 6-hour mark for streaming. That's a long time for me. I only meant to do 5 hours and I ended up doing an extra one because Fire Emblem took so long. Oh well, here's what it is. We'll get to 2.5 hours and then we'll call this a day. For Phoenix Wright. No one's here today, not even Miss Starr. Everyone's probably busy looking into what happened exactly in the evidence room. It must be where the detectives are. We proved in court today that no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15. On the day of the crime. Yeah. I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. Instead, we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. Gotta find all the answers by tomorrow. I don't think there'll be anything here, because there'd be no reason to come here. It's just wanted to. Hi, prosecutor's office. I want to see Edgy Boy. Where is he? Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Maybe he's being questioned by the inquiry committee. Took a real beating in court today. Yeah, with Lana admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago, I guess we'll just have to come back later. Yep, nothing I can see that's new here either. Edward to the police department, I guess? Here he goes. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. I never thought things would turn out this way, but when I woke up this morning. Hey, sirrah, sirrah. You never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? I should have known my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. Mr. Marshall, why did you do it?
Mighty prospectors head west. If there was a case that I needed to know the truth about, it was that one.
Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened?
Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. Wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so.
What do you mean, fishy?
Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon.
The murder weapon? You mean the switchblade knife with the broken tip?
That'd be Joe Dark's alright.
But in the initial autopsy report... Oh, sorry. Still Marshall, sorry.
But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised.
A question?
The blade of the knife was not a perfect match for the victim. The blade of the knife was not a perfect match for the wound the victim sustained.
What does that mean?
It means there's a good chance that the knife was not the murder weapon. However, in this report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased.
The facts have been concealed with forged evidence?
That case left behind scars on all of us.
The scars that left the SL9 incident left... The scars that the SL9 incident left behind.
I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I had just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together.
How old was he? Your brother?
He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day.
The highest honor? You don't mean...
King of prosecutors.
Not that again.
What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor.
Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as...
That's right. It was the day of the evidence transferal.
Interesting.
It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. Well, there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years have already gone by. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die.
Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty.
There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired. I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? They did something to him too. The commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious.
They? Wait, who are you talking about?
Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gann and Lana Skye. Chief Detective Damon Gann and his second in command, Lana Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After that case ended, Lana transferred to the
After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right?
Yeah. Damon Gann, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she became a detective. Or when she was a detective.
Now that she mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister?
Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is well too guarded. I never found out.
Lana's secret? It all started 2 years ago.
So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I wouldn't even be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. That's probably the last time we'll ever see him. We can examine the blue badge, see if anything else has changed, and then we'll go into the criminal affairs department. Oh, it keeps saying to examine, that's why. Blue Badger is still driving around today. Look into his eyes, children. See the pain and anguish. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's dancing. Speaking of dancing, the whole police department has been dancing about crazy since the other day. Can I take out his batteries? I just can't help but feel he's going to do something naughty. Talk to these guys? Maybe these guys say something different? Look, that patrolman is saluting that other guy. He must be a detective. So I cuffed the lout, right? Then you know what he says? What are you, a moron? I'm an undercover agent. Oh man, I hate it when that happens. Guess he wasn't saluting, he was just listening to how his friend messed up. Make a good pair. I think with that, we're pretty much done with everything on this part. So I think we'll go to criminal affairs. This place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted. That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks. Wow, he actually talked to us. The chief prosecutor saying what she did and the decision about what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media in tomorrow's trial. There's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas all put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Just head up across the hall to the other building and take the elevator to the top floor. Really? You mean that's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office. Now, we'll have a look. Well, let's do, see what the chief's doing and see what that bloke's doing on the left, and then we'll go up. That man must be the head detective. He's staring at the screen so hard it might shatter. What? Our case might have been fabricated? That's what I thought all along. I just never bothered to tell anyone. That guy's a guy. Now that's a guy who cares about his work. What's this guy doing today? Must be one of the detectives. He's mumbling something up to himself. That's it. The villain used a time machine. Very clever indeed. That would explain the alibi. Future might not be so far away after all. He's not writing a report, he's running a novel. Right, let's go. We'll do this bit, and then we'll call it a day, and we'll come back next time refreshed. Whoa, where am I? In the chief's office, silly. At least that's what it said on the door. Check out that pipe organ. It's real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. I thought I was a genius until something. Didn't catch it because I was too slow. Never could remember where C was. I can only remember certain chords on a guitar now. I remember like A minor, G. I think I now remember D, and I've gone.
Oh, it's you two. Oh, no, I didn't give him that voice. I gave him a righto. There you go.
Chief Gant. He put that paper he was reading in his desk.
So, Mr. Wright, have you been swimming lately?
No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately.
I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too, with Mr. Marshall's misconduct and Lana's provocative statement.
Provocative statement? You mean about the forged evidence?
2 years ago that have passed since that incident. And how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That's a picture of Lana, Neil, and me.
So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
We took it to commemorate our work together.
Something's not right with this picture. Can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though.
Anyway, I'd like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together.
Oh. But this office... It was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it?
That case has long been since over. There's no need to investigate it any further.
All the same, we'd still like to have a look around.
Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate any further. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend.
Looks like we aren't welcome.
It seems that case isn't over with yet, after all.
What do you mean?
Chief Gant denied our request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around in there.
Mean like a clue?
There's gotta be a way of getting inside Chief Gant's office. I think... right there is what we're gonna call it. I think right there we've been left a little bit of cliffhanger, Chief Gant, what's his real motives? We'll see. I think we'll see next time. We did a lot today. We got through court. I thought court was gonna take a bit longer after the 2.5 hours I did last time, but... oh well, here's what it is. I'm tired. I think you've had we had 2 different games, 6-hour stream. I'm a happy fella. I hope this has made it up to you guys for me not doing it midweek because I was otherwise engaged. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. So I want to thank you guys for watching. People on Twitch, all these get archived to YouTube. You miss a stream, should be, you miss a stream and you want to watch one back, should be a link down below to that YouTube channel. People on YouTube, all these get streamed live to Twitch. You want to just watch live or talk to me, interact with me like I have been doing today, that'd be grand. There should be a link to the Twitch channel in the description of every video that I do. I'd like to thank you guys for watching one final time, and bye-bye.